Mitakwe piam petu le iushkia na peo chilus papelo le am petu wayoni ha tranka hechalo yun trunkashla ya piwana le he yun wopila na wangwa shtelo mitakwe pi. So in the proudest moments of the Oglala Sioux tribe, as president of the Oglala Sioux tribe, I would like to thank our dignitaries and our officials. At this time, Orville Looking Horse, who's a keeper of the sacred white buffalo calf pipe, will lead us on in a prayer. As president of the Oglala Lakota Nation, it is with great honor that I welcome you here today for this truly historic event. Never in the history of the United States has a sitting president come to Indian country to conduct a government-to-government visit. President Clinton, President Clinton, on behalf of this nation, as well as Indian nations across this country, welcome to the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. The Oglala Lakota Nation also welcomes our many distinguished guests, the members of Congress, cabinet members, and other leaders from Washington. Welcome also to the hundreds of people joining us from all across the United States as part of the HUD Shared Visions Housing Conference taking place on this reservation today. This is a monumental gathering of Indian leadership from every corner of America and another historic first. Your honor in being with us here today is marked in the annals of the Oglala Lakota history. Finally, I want to extend a warm welcome to my brothers and sisters from Indian country who have traveled great distances to be with us today. Wopila hechalo. I want to ask my brother Orville Looking Horse to give a blessing to this gathering. And Millie Horncloud, the great-great-granddaughter of Chief Red Cloud, will then present the treaty pipe to President Clinton as a symbol of the honor and respect with which our two nations meet today. Hotchahanshi ehantuelo.
Mitake oase. Na petikile lilacha apetikile wupla tranka. Sha exterior sha akantula hechchi wochike gloha ukupicha ke mitake pi ake wochike ukshaga piktilo. Tranka shela bakat khakan aya haye Shela wakaka aya hoye wayelo haye khonka shela omake yayo maka kijelo haye khonka shela wakat kakar haya ya hoye wayelo haye khonka shela wakat kakar haya hoye wayelo haye khonka shela omake yayo maka kijelo hai 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 kungashla apetutawa wakha yasho tiwayo kit khapiki na ukaki japi exterior akantula apetuki yache wichozani yacho hoye pikhan kungashlo shlapo apetukle hechachake tiwayo kit khapi tiwayo washteste wichunglo hapi Ukake trukateke omaka nacha trukateke uchunchake shakoe wachi na tuaya chobache wakajuki tropiki na glakimun pikha trunkashla wakat trakunshla po apetukile hechakchi na apetu na lechakchake which auch genau hinashipi. Na khan tuwa okit khapi. Hekta ba hena which auch anki. Na chachchi naglo hakupi. Na ke ampetukle wonki glakapi. Nu khake chet khukate ke which was ani glakumoni pikte ache na hoy mak khat khukashla onshmala. Which was ani woki wanglake. Khukashla great mystery. Today is a sacred, it's very a sacred date for us. We have many good families. We have many ways to be thankful. And yet there's sickness, and many forms of sickness. And there's a lot of heaviness upon our shoulders today. We ask the great grandfather, great mystery, Kunkashla Wakantunka, to help us, to guide us, help us lead our children into the next 7 generations, into the next millennium. We're thankful for all the ways of our ancestors that helped us, guide us to be here today. And as we carry on this responsibilities in our ways to honor, our ways to the Great Spirit, Wakantunka, we pray for health and happiness. Homitakuas, aho.
Mr. President, Millie.
This is the
Orville Wopila Wechihilo. Thank you, Cousin Millie, for that presentation. Orville Looking Horse is a keeper of the sacred white buffalo calf pipe, is one of our most respected spiritual leaders today. Spirituality is a foundation of all tribes which guides us in our decisions as nations and in our daily lives as individuals. Strength of Native people comes from spirituality. The Great Spirit sends his message to our spiritual leaders to guide us and show us the virtues of life. Generosity, courage, wisdom, and humility. While our spirituality is our foundation, our land is our identity. The Oglala Lakota have had a long history in this land, filled with trials. Land tests us, provides for us, teaches us. Even today, we have unresolved land issues with the federal government. The Oglala and the Sioux Nations will continue to try to educate others about the sacredness of these lands and the strength of our treaties. The exchange of the 1868 treaty pipe you just witnessed with Millie Horncloud was a keeper of the treaty pipe, reminds our people of our nation and our land. This land has taught our people to be a strong and persevering nation. I am humbled by the leaders who have come before me. Crazy Horse, American Horse, Little Wound, Afraid of His Horse, Red Cloud, Sword, Bull Bear, Makula, Hornchip, Red Shirt, and all the other numerous leaders in the past that have fought for our lands. All of these men have set the direction for the Oglala leadership of today. I think these men would agree that this historic meeting with the United States President on our hallowed land will have a lasting impact for our people. President Clinton is here today to share with us a New Markets Initiative, his vision for the economic development potential that has remained untapped here on the Pine Ridge and throughout Indian country. We will be forever indebted with gratitude to you, Mr. President. You opened the doors to Indian people with the Tribal Leaders Summit you graciously hosted in 1994, helping the spirit of democracy to eternally shine. We hope that your legacy of dialogue with tribes continues on forever. All the people you have profoundly touched will never forget your kindness and generosity. For me, this is a great opportunity to remind the rest of America that Indian people walk in both worlds. We hold our culture, our tradition, and our land sacred, but we continue to adapt and grow as part of the American community. To give you some glaring realities and examples of our hardships today, Pine Ridge faces many challenges. Nearly 60% of the young people on the reservation live in poverty. Life expectancy for the Oglala men is the lowest in the United States. We have more than 4,000 families waiting for homes, and our current housing stock is in serious disrepair. 20% of Oglala houses lack basic plumbing. Unemployment in our community is recorded as high as 73% plus, but we have seen this rate soar higher and higher in harder and worse times. Though these challenges persist here at Pine Ridge, we have our own vision for tapping the potential which President Clinton has come to discuss with us today. We are laying the groundwork for the New Markets Initiative to succeed. For example, the Federal Empowerment Zone designation will pave the way for economic development. This was a monumental accomplishment for the Oglala Lakota Nation to come together to set goals for improving housing, roads, infrastructure, and jobs. Winning this award required a 10-year comprehensive plan. This designation as an empowerment zone will help us provide the resources to meet these goals. The Housing Urban Development Partnership for Housing is another example of the groundwork we are laying today, and will be a model, a paradigm, if you will, for all tribes everywhere to learn from. Secretary Cuomo and I have worked together to establish a partnership. This model project is already succeeding on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. It's done by encouraging home ownership and providing Indian people the tools to build financial independence through investment in themselves and in their families for generations. It is an honor to have Secretary Cuomo with us today and a privilege to introduce him. He is a powerful voice for the people and places yet to benefit from the national prosperity. Last year, Secretary Cuomo visited Pine Ridge and realized what was needed to make a difference. For his commitment to Indian country, Secretary Cuomo has been adopted by a Native American tribe. We Oglalas also consider him family. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming one of the strongest advocates for Native Americans in Washington today, Housing Urban Development, the Honorable Secretary Andrew Cuomo.
Thank you. Thank you very much. What a great day, isn't it? Doesn't get any better than this. President Soloway, thank you for the kind introduction. All the tribal presidents who are here with us today, over 100 strong tribal presidents from all across the United States. We send you greetings. Conference participants, Brothers and sisters from the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, we have our friend with us, Senator Tom Daschle, who's a great leader for the state, a great leader in the Senate, and worked very hard to make today possible. Senator Tom Daschle. Senator Johnson is also with us today. Congressman Thune, we have a congressional delegation with congressmen from across the United States. Reverend Jesse Jackson, a strong and powerful voice. My brothers and sisters from the Tlingit Haida Indian tribe, it's a pleasure to be with you. And a special welcome. You'll give our tribe a bad name if you keep that up. Special welcome to a good colleague of mine, a great public servant, a true champion for Indian country who just finished signing with the President of the United States the first empowerment zone ever for an Indian reservation, USDA Agriculture Secretary Dan Glickman. President Solway said that there are many challenges on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. And the Lord knows that there certainly are, as there are on many reservations across the country. The numbers in many cases are staggering: 73% unemployment, need for housing in the thousands and thousands of units. But that is exactly why I'm proud that the President of the United States is here today, because that's what real leadership is about. Yes, we have challenges. Yes, we have issues. But that's why President Clinton should be here today. And I'll tell you, Mr. President, I have worked with the President for the full administration. Literally before the first day, I was in the transition committee that worked at the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And the President has done many remarkable things during that time, and I've been proud to be part of the team. But there has never been any undertaking or accomplishment that I am personally prouder of than what the President has done this past week with the New Markets Initiative and what the President of the United States is doing today on this reservation. Thank you, Mr. President. You've heard about the President's week-long tour and what they call the New Markets Initiative, which is going to communities all across the nation that have yet to share in this great American success, and meeting them and working with them and hearing from them to see how we can best tap their potential. Yes, there's poverty here, and yes, there's poverty in many communities across the country, all with different faces and different accents and different skin tones, but with the same basic challenges and the same basic hopes. And the President's message is twofold. First, there is a great economic opportunity for this nation in these communities. There is business to be done. There is money to be made. This is not about charity. This is about investment. They are literally new markets. We want to keep this historic economy going as strong as it's going now. We need two things. The economic equivalent of air and water are new workers and new markets. Where are the new workers of tomorrow? I'll tell you where. They're the unemployed of today in Appalachia and the Delta and East St. Louis and here on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. Where are the new consumer markets of tomorrow? They are right here. We recently talked to experts who estimate that there are hundreds of millions of dollars in untapped markets in rural America just waiting to be explored and developed. There's business to be done, and that's good for the overall country. But there's a second message, which to me is more important and even more powerful than the first message. Because it says not only is it good for the nation's wallet, but it is good for the nation's soul. That this nation has a moral obligation to bring its people who are not yet sharing the American dream into that great American success story. It is a question of our national identity. It is a question of our national definition. What this country has always been about was never one common color or race or religion, but one common set of principles. And you can get it down to 3 words. This nation promised opportunity for all, that if you were willing to work, we would work with you. And you could do better for yourself and for your family, and you could progress. And we believed in you, and we wanted to invest in you, and we wanted to work with you. Because we believe that we are more than a collection of individuals, we are a society. That we are all connected and interrelated. And that there is a cord that connects me to you, and you to you, and you to you, and maybe we don't see it, but it is there. And that cord then weaves a fabric that binds us all. And when we raise one, we lift all of us. And when one sinks, we all drown. That we are in this thing together. And that's why we support each other and we work together, and we provide opportunity for all, not as a hollow promise, but as a collective promise where we will work with you to make sure that that opportunity exists. And for many it does. And you have an historic record of success. But as the President has pointed out to the nation this week, there are many places who are not yet sharing that success. There is in this nation an opportunity gap. People who want to work and people who want to better themselves, but who can't, who don't have the access to the education or the access to the resources or the access to the capital. A woman we saw today, Ms. Bluebird, Geraldine Bluebird, who needs to save just to buy her children shoes to go to school. How can she compete in this economy? Where is the equal playing field? And if we believe in her and believe in her success, then we have to reach out to raise her up. That's what this is all about, that interconnection, the interrelation. The President uses the word community. The Native American speaks about the symbol of the circle. No beginning, no end. All inextricably linked, all connected one to the other. As goes one, goes us all. That's what this is really about. That's why it's important that this reservation work. And now, my friends, is the time to do it. We have a moment in history, and we have to seize it, because this time may not come again. We have a certain confluence of events and factors that are happening today that may never happen again. You have a President of the United States who cares about these issues and cares about these places and wants to make a difference. You have an economy that is so strong that we can actually bring investment to these places. You have a federal government that is no longer saddled with a deficit that frustrated progressive government for over a decade. We have our house in order. We have credibility. We can get back to the good work of activist government. And we have learned our lessons from the past. And we understand that this cannot be done by the federal government in Washington, D.C., sending out mandates and ideas for communities to follow. But nor can it be done by the private sector alone. Because let's be honest, if the private sector were doing it, we wouldn't have to be here today. We need the government working with the private sector, incentivizing, stimulating, facilitating, promoting. And that's the combination that's going to work. All those factors are present today. It's just for us to reach out and make it happen. And that's what this week is all about. And why? Because despite all we've done, despite all the progress of this great nation, and it is historic, we can be better than we are still. The country can be stronger than it is today. The promise can be brighter. If this is how strong we are today, Imagine how strong we will be when every man and woman is participating in this economy to the full extent of their ability. Imagine how strong we're going to be when Appalachia and the Delta and the urban areas are all participating. Imagine how strong we're going to be when the 73% who are unemployed today on this reservation are 73% employed. That's when this nation will reach its full potential. When that bright American sun of opportunity shines on all her people in all her places and shines on people who've been left too long in the shadows. Today, that ray of sunshine has broken through. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Secretary Andrew Cuomo. I wanted to also mention thank you to all my relatives that come from other Native nations. And I think it's only proper at this time that I ask all of you tribal leaders, stand and show the President who you are. Please rise. All of you that are tribal presidents, show the President. He wants to see who's represented. Thank you for coming. Wopilad. I also want to say thank you to Secretary Daniel Glickman for bringing the empowerment zone and all the potential it has to offer. We want to say thank you to our own elected officials, Senator Thomas Daschle, Congressman Thune, and Senator Tim Johnson. John, right? John. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great and most humbled, esteemed pleasure to introduce to you the President of the United States, the Honorable William Jefferson Clinton.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you to all of you here from Pine Ridge and all the other tribal leaders who are here for HUD's Shared Vision Conference. I am profoundly honored to be in Pine Ridge and in the Lakota Nation. In fact, to try to demonstrate my appreciation and respect, I would like to try to say something in Lakota. Midakuye o Yasin. My neighbors, my friends, we are all related. Consider those who have come here today to join hands with you, along with Secretary Cuomo, Secretary Glickman, your great congressional delegation, our Democratic leader Tom Daschle in the United States Senate, and Senator Johnson, Congressman Thune. You don't know this, but we have members of Congress from all over America who have come here to express their support and their commitment to join you in building a better tomorrow. Congressman Ed Pastor from Arizona, Congressman Dale Kildee from the state of Michigan, Congressman Jim Clyburn from South Carolina, and Congressman Paul Kanjorski from Pennsylvania. He has come all the way from Pennsylvania to be here. I want to thank the other people from the administration, especially Assistant Secretary of the Interior Kevin Gover and Lynn Cutler in the White House, who work with all of our Native American leaders around America for what they do. I want to thank the CEO of Fannie Mae, Frank Raines, the CEO of Northwest, Mark Oman, the PMI President, Roger Horton, Mortgage Bankers Association President, Don Lang, Champion Home CEO, Walter Young, for all the work that they are prepared to do in building a better future, and they're here today. I want to thank my good friend Jesse Jackson for never letting us forget our common obligations. I thank the other members of our delegation today, Bart Harvey from Enterprise, Al Fromm from the Democratic Leadership Council. I'd like to thank the Young AmeriCorps volunteers who are here today for all the work they do. I would like to finally say a word of appreciation to all the people who live here on this reservation, who welcome me into their homes, who talk to me today as I walk down their streets. I thank especially Geraldine Bluebird, who Secretary Cuomo mentioned. She let me sit on her porch and she told me how she tries to make ends meet for the 28 people that share her small home and the house trailer adjoining. I thank the children who stopped their playing and shook hands with me and listened to me while I encouraged them to stay in school and to go on to college and to live out their dreams. I want to bring you greetings from two people who are not here. First, from Vice President Gore, who has headed our Empowerment Zone effort that Pine Ridge became a part of today. And second, just a little over an hour ago, I talked to the First Lady. Hillary has spent more time in Indian country than any First Lady in history. She is intensely committed to this effort, and she asked me to say hello to you. President Solway said today I was the only president ever to come to an Indian reservation for a nation-to-nation business meeting. I remember back in 1994, I invited all the tribal leaders in America to the White House, and it was the first such gathering since the presidency of James Monroe in the 1820s. Now, I know that Calvin Coolidge came to Pine Ridge in the 1920s, and that President Roosevelt visited another Native American reservation, but no American president has been anywhere in Indian country since Franklin Roosevelt was president. That is wrong, and we're trying to fix it today. I was profoundly moved by the pipe ceremony, just as I was when your congressional delegation took me last night not only to Mount Rushmore, but to the Crazy Horse Memorial and to the museum that is there with it. But I ask you today, even as we remember the past, to think more about the future. We know well what the failings of the present and the past are. We know well the imperfect relationship that the United States and its government has enjoyed with the tribal nations. But I have seen today not only poverty, but promise. And I have seen enormous courage. I came here today for three reasons. First of all, to celebrate the Empowerment Zone and the housing projects that are going on here now. Second, to talk about my New Markets initiative and what else we can do. But third, with the business leaders who are here, and I've already introduced them, but I'd like to ask the business leaders I just mentioned to stand up. We want to send a message to America that this is a good place to invest. Good people live here. Good people live in Indian country. They deserve a chance to go to work. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You've already heard President Solway and Secretary Cuomo recite the statistics. It's a hot day out here, and I know you're suffering in the sun. But I want to send a message to America. So I just want to say a few things, and I want you to think about this. Think about the irony of this. We are in the longest period of economic growth in peacetime in our history. We have in America almost 19 million new jobs. We have the lowest unemployment rate ever recorded for African Americans and Hispanics. For over 2 years, our country has had an unemployment rate below 5%. But here on this reservation, the unemployment rate is nearly 75%. That is wrong, and we have to do something to change it and do it now. When we are on the verge of a new century and a new millennium where people are celebrating the miracles of technology and the world growing closer and closer together, and our ability to learn from and with each other and make business partnerships with each other all across our globe, and there are still reservations with few phones and no banks, when still 3 or 4 families are forced to share 2 simple rooms, where communities where Native Americans live have deadly disease and infant mortality rates at many times the national rate, when these things still persist, we cannot rest until we do better. And trying is not enough. We have to have results. We can do better. Our nation will never have a better chance. When will we ever have this kind of opportunity where unemployment is low, inflation is low, there's a lot of money in our country, the value of the stock market has tripled, and then some. Business people are looking for new places to invest, and people who have done well feel a moral obligation to try to help those who are less fortunate, who have not fully participated. And we see it from Appalachia to the Mississippi Delta, to the inner cities of our country, to the Native American communities. If we can't do this now, we will never get around to doing it. So let us give ourselves a gift for the 21st century, an America where no one is left behind and everyone has a chance. We will do our part. You have suffered from neglect, and you know that doesn't work. You have also suffered from the tyranny of patronizing inadequately funded government programs, and you know that doesn't work. We have tried to have a more respectful, more proper relationship with the tribal governments of this country, to promote more genuine independence, but also to give more genuine support. And the Empowerment Zone program, as the Vice President and I designed it 6 years ago, is designed to treat all communities that way. We're not coming from Washington to tell you exactly what to do and how to do it. We're coming to from Washington to ask you what you want to do and tell you we will give you the tools and the support to get done what you want to do for your children and their future. President Solway and a number of tribal leaders came to me at the White House a couple of months ago. You may have heard in the national press that I repeatedly referred to this profoundly emotional meeting. I have given a great deal of thought to what was said then and what I heard now. We can do better. I would like to mention just a few specific things, for you have all heard years of pretty words. There is no more crucial building block for a strong community and a promising future than a solid home. Today I want to talk about a number of things the government and the private sector are going to do to increase home ownership. Our whole team visited those new homes that are being built not far from here. We talked to the families that are moving into those homes. I had a little boy take me through every room in the home, tell me exactly where every closet was, tell me what his sister's room had that he didn't have, and why it was all right because she was older and she needed such things. This is important. So what are we going to do? Private lenders like Bank of America, Northwest, Bank One, Washington Mutual are going to work with the Mortgage Bankers Association and HUD to more than double the number of government-insured or guaranteed home mortgages in Indian country in each of the next 3 years. Right here in Pine Ridge, Fannie Mae, under Frank Rain's leadership, has set aside millions of dollars to help you buy those homes at below market rates. And they are spending hundreds of millions of dollars all across this country to help people just like you become homeowners for the first time. And Secretary Cuomo's Partnership for Housing is giving financial incentives and counseling to help families figure out how to actually get this done, how to buy their own homes and pay for them. But as I heard over and over today, even if we went in and tried to repair or rebuild or build new homes for every family here and in every Indian community throughout the United States, we must have jobs if we want these communities to work. Adults need to have something to look forward to every morning when they get up. And if they want their kids to stay in school and stay out of trouble and look to tomorrow, their lives have to be evidence that looking to tomorrow pays off. It is appalling that we have the highest growth rate in peacetime in our history, that we have an unemployment rate below 5% for 2 years, and the unemployment rate on this hallowed reservation is almost 75%. That is appalling, and we can do better. No community in America can grow, however, without basic building blocks. No community in America should be without safe running water and sewer systems. So the Department of Agriculture will put nearly $16 million in water projects throughout Indian country, including 2 right here in Pine Ridge. That will also help you get jobs as well as improve the quality of life. As you can see, in this big sky country, it is rather warm, and it gets windy from time to time, as the natives will attest. The Department of Energy will help you harness the power and profits of wind and solar energy to save money and make money. Owens Corning and North American Steel Framing Alliance will provide skills training and the promise of quality jobs. And Citibank and Gateway Computer Company will work with Oglala Lakota College and other schools to help Native American students get the computer skills that will allow them to get 21st century jobs. And our Federal Communications Commission will work with you to improve telephone service throughout Indian country, an absolute prerequisite for getting any new business in here. And let me just say that one of the things that we have learned is that the computer and the internet make it possible for many people to do many kinds of work in any community, anywhere in the United States, indeed increasingly anywhere in the world. The fact that this reservation is a long way from an urban center would have been an absolute prohibitive barrier to a lot of economic development just 10 or 15 years ago. The explosion of computer technology and the internet, if you know how to use it and you know how to deliver for others with it, has literally made the distance barrier almost insignificant for many kinds of economic activity. So I want to implore you to use your tribal college and work with these companies and make the most of the skills they are offering, and we can get the jobs to come here once you can do them. Finally, we must seize the vast potential of tourism right here in Pine Ridge by building a Lakota Sioux Heritage Cultural Center. Every year, millions of families travel long, long distances to see Mount Rushmore, 2.7 million last year. The Crazy Horse Memorial, about 1.5 million, even though only the head has been finished. The Crazy Horse Memorial last year had 1.5 million visitors, only the head has been finished. I went there late last night. And the Badlands National Park. Now, if you look at that, you have to ask yourself, how many people, if you did everything right down here, if we built this cultural center, of all the people that go to see Crazy Horse, of all the people that go to see Mount Rushmore, of all the people that go to Badlands National Park, how many would come here? I'll tell you, a whole lot. An enormous percentage if you give them something to come and see. That is nothing more than the simple, profound, powerful story of your eloquent past and your present, of your skills and your heritage and your culture and your faith. These commitments that we are making today are just the beginning. 31 years ago this spring, Senator Robert Kennedy came to Pine Ridge. Many of you probably still remember that visit. Senator Kennedy seeking medical care for his child lying sick in the back of an abandoned car, refusing to sit and begin an important meeting until all the tribal leaders had their proper seats. You may remember his message of hope. Let me say that all across America, people were watching that. I have to say, on a purely personal note, one of the most touching things about this day for me is that the wife of our HUD secretary is Robert Kennedy's daughter, and she is here today, and this is a proud day. I'd like to ask her to stand. Carrie, please stand. Thank you. Give her a hand. Thank you. We lost all those years. There were a lot of reasons. And a lot of things here are better than they were 30 years ago. But this is the first time since the early 1960s when we had this kind of strong American economy. And we have no excuse for walking away from our responsibilities to the new markets of America. I have asked the members of Congress to go back and pass legislation that will give major tax breaks and government-guaranteed loans to people who will put their money in Indian country, to lower the risk of taking this chance. We are going to do everything we can to make your empowerment zone work. But remember, there is nothing that we can do except to help you to realize your own dreams. So I say to every tribal leader here, the name of the conference you are attending is Shared Visions. We must share the vision, and it must be fundamentally yours for your children and their future. If you will give us that vision and work with us, we will achieve it. Thank you, and God bless you.
President Clinton, Your Honorable President William Jefferson Clinton, ladies and gentlemen. We would like to say at this time to recognize Gateway Computer Corporation's major contribution of computer technology, first in the history of any reservation, and they're giving it to Pine Ridge. Thank you. Okay, as relatives, I want to say Thank you for coming in, honoring the leader of this great nation who have stood through a lot of times, a lot of trials to tell us how our relationship is defined. So we want to say in a humble way, in a gesture, in a custom of our way of life, as Lakota people and our relatives, as we present these gifts to the Honorable William Jefferson Clinton. Wouldn't hold it up. Let's hold it up for the cameras to see.
That will be out in the White House this week.
That's gonna go out in the White House.
Yeah, we're gonna actually have that up.
And for the First Lady, we would like to offer this gift and hope him and her may come back and revisit us again.
Beautiful shawl, thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
That should do it, right? We would like to say thanks for Reverend Jackson. We'd like to also thank all the council members, the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council members who are in attendance today, and my relatives, tribal leader of the Aberdeen area, and all visiting chairmen. Pilawian pelo.